are thankful for this life in every way. We are thankful for this life in every way.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's it. Waking them up.
Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of San Francisco, which is a welcoming, warm, inclusive community where love is felt, truth is taught, lives are transformed, and miracles happen. Here at Unity Spiritual Center, we study and put into practice inspiring tools and principles for happiness, health, prosperity, and successful living. We are all about creating extraordinary lives and a peaceful planet through our relationship with the loving God presence within each one of us and through our relationships with one another. And as you heard in the song we just sang, which features words from our mission statement, we are a creative, joy-filled, spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. Our vision and the opportunity for each one of us here is that you know that your life matters, that you make a difference, and that the world is a better place because you're here. Do we have anybody visiting us? If we do have at least one visitor for the first time, we have gifts for you. If you didn't receive them already, we have a shell lay and a package of information. You could just hold your hand up. Our usher Ken will bring one to you. This is a present that we've been giving out for many, many, many years. It's a shell lay that has a tag on it. And the tag on it says that just as God has a design for every shell in the sea, God also has a design for your life. We also give out packets of information about Unity in general and Unity Spiritual Center in particular. And I am always happy, whether you're here for the first time or if you're here for the 1000th and first time. Just know that I am always up for a conversation, any questions you might have about Unity Movement, or Unity Spiritual Center. I also have the opportunity to introduce two wonderful people who are here today. First, our guest speaker, Jeffon. For those of you who were here at the First Sunday Forum, you know this is quite an impressive and heart-led person. You have a wonderful opportunity in store to hear him speak. He was raised at the base of the snow-capped Wasatch Mountains in Holiday, Utah. Jeffon has since become a speaker, entrepreneur, community leader, author, and family man. He currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Standing upon Mahatma Gandhi's message of being the change he wishes to see, Jeffon is committed to shining a light of hope, peace, and power into every environment that he enters. He is on a mission to empower 1 million minds by the end of 2016. And toward that end has spoken with students, entrepreneurs, and spiritual communities across the nation and held workshops as far away as Roatan, Honduras. Please join me in welcoming Jeffon to USC. I'm also very happy to be able to introduce Danielle Kane. A lot of you know her already. She doesn't need an introduction, but we're so happy that you're here with us today, Danielle, to add even more to our wonderful morning. We also believe in joining our voices together in song. We've got a good one. It involves standing on your feet, because how can you sing I Release without standing up?
And Ken, I need you. Yeah. I need my tambourine maestro on this one. So we're going to actually sing the intro on this, which Daniel happens to know. So we get to hear a little gospel rave up from Daniel before we all go into what we know and love so well. So here we go. Let me give her a little something, a gospel rave up beginning.
There was a time in my life when I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the grace of God was at hand. But now I say, if you are discouraged, just struggling to make it through another day, gotta let it all go. You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I lost the spirit of my life.
No more struggle, no more strife.
In my faith I see the light.
I release.
I let go. I let spirit in my life. Let go, I let spirit run my life with my heart open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. In my faith I see the light. Yes, I'm God. Thank you.
Well, feeling the Spirit, knowing that we are only here for God, I am going to light our worship candle as we do every Sunday to remind us that each one of us has that divine flame inside us as individualized expressions of God. So I want to invite you now to continue to get comfortable in your seats so you can relax even more deeply into this time of meditation, prayer, and worship. And let us open our hearts now to receive the message of today's daily word. Following the service, one of our prayer chaplains, Janine Etter, will be happy to pray with you should you desire to experience the joy of confidential shared prayer communion with another person. And now here is the daily word. The word for today is divine order. The affirmation for the day is love leads the way to divine order. In war-torn biblical times, Naomi and her daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, lost their husbands. Ruth, in a courageous act of devotion to Naomi, pledged her commitment to stay with Naomi, return to her homeland, and adopt people and God. Like Ruth, I follow my heart and do the next right thing. Despite any outer experiences to the contrary, divine order prevails in my life. I devote myself to what serves the greater good. Order is reestablished, even out of chaos, when I follow my heart. In Hebrew, Ruth's name means love, and love is always at the helm of order. I follow my heart in all circumstances, and let love lead the way. The scripture from today is from Ruth chapter 1, verse 16. Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. So as we drink in the truth of that message, knowing that despite outer appearances, divine order is always taking place, let us turn to that sacred center of peace within us and center our attention now on the unlimited power of Spirit. Right here, right now, sacred space is created by letting go of the busyness of our lives as we focus our hearts and minds on the divine presence, the Christ consciousness within. We give thanks for this opportunity to bless and to be blessed in spirit. We give thanks for our sanctuary here, for the feelings of connection, peace, and warmth that fill our hearts and minds right now. We give thanks for the privilege of praying for others in our community, and we hold the prayer requests of our community in our hearts with love. We know that every person represented in our prayer chest is enfolded in divine love, and that divine order is taking place in each of their lives. We hold the unwritten prayers in our own and in others' hearts with great love as well. We also enfold the prayers of others in our nation, particularly this morning in Orlando and around the globe, in our hearts, knowing, again, as the message in the Daily Word says, that despite outer appearances, divine love and divine order is everywhere present. So let us take about 30 seconds right now to send our love out to those who are grieving, who are in shock, who are frightened. Let us embody our unity right now by beaming our love to all those who need it. Thank you, dear God, for this precious hour, for this precious place, for these precious people in our community here and beyond. Love, your eternal, abundant love flows through us. We bask in the joy that it brings as we enter the sacred time of worship at Unity Spiritual Center. And so it is. Thank you, God.
What we're about to do has not been often done here. We're going to do a Latin piece called Rapus Lightus. I'll let that sink in for a minute. Here we go.
You're the sun, you're my heart, you're my love.
You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hope. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you're a fog.
You're my mom, you're my water, you're the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friend till the end. You're my dreams, you're my father.
You're the ants on the ground, the miracles surround. I'm feeling all around the hemisphere in the clouds.
You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're my strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow.
All the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize the day.
All that I am, all that I say, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing that I'm grateful for it all, for it all.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Grateful for it all.
You're my death, you're a smile, you're a guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you're a man. You're my hands, you're the feet, you're my arms, you're my heart. You're the light, you're my spirit, you're my land, you're my mom, you were right, you're the spark. You're my friend till the end, you're my friend, you're my friend. You're my love, so I'm feeling all about the pain in my soul, in my heart, for tomorrow.
The strength and the power, the path that I follow, the blessings that exist,
Small
every
things
time
that
you
exist, give it to me, realize that everything
it's all that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing that I'm grateful for it all, for it all.
na 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 na.
You're the blessings that exist and all things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything's a gift.
All that I see, all that I've been, all I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing that I'm grateful for it all, for it all. is a blessing. It's so amazing. And I'm grateful for it all. For it all.
Let me begin like this. I open up my mind, and love is received. I open up my heart and realize I have been given all that I need. I look within myself, uncovering a safe haven of peace as I slowly exhale this breath to share this life that I breathe. Peace and blessings, everybody. My name is Jeffon. It is an absolute honor and a great privilege to be able to be here with each and every one of you today. And before I go any further, I know there's some of you who may be thinking, Jeffon, it's great to have you here, but how old are you? And if that is going through your mind, don't worry. I get asked that a lot. And in fact, I am older than I look. If you get close enough after service, you may see some gray hair starting to poke through. But nevertheless, I'm very grateful to be here. It's a beautiful day. And I just want to begin by expressing this gratitude. First and foremost to Reverend Maggie. I walked in here about 8 months ago, literally. I was in the San Francisco area doing some work. And I just stopped by. And I stopped by to see if she ever opened up her platform for other people to speak. And I asked because I live in Atlanta and I have the opportunity to share at a variety of spiritual communities there. And I was planning a tour through the West Coast and I was going to be here and it aligned. So thank you so much for this opportunity and providing me with this abundant privilege. And I would also like to recognize and extend gratitude to all of those people who work behind the scenes here at Unity to make sure that each and every week is able to shine in abundant and new ways. It's interesting because many of us come here just for a Sunday, but are unaware of all the things that are taking place throughout the week. So if you are one of those individuals who spend some of your time or energy or your unique essence or your gifts helping this place to blossom and unfold in the ways that it does, thank you. And finally, I would like to extend gratitude to each and every one of you. Now, you may be saying, okay, Jeffon, I know it's Sunday and you're grateful, but what's up with all this thankfulness? If that's going through your mind, I express this gratitude because I find it so incredible the ways in which our lives have aligned to enable us to be here in this moment of now. For those seemingly insignificant events that were essential to enable our paths to cross here in this moment of now. So I am grateful for you, for being, breathing, for existing. And I would like to begin just by saying that the light and the essence that is dwelling within me honors and recognizes the glorious light in you. To begin, I would just like to say peace and blessings and namaste. So I've been on this spiritual path for right about 10 years now. I stumbled upon it when I was about 5. No, I'm just joking. I wasn't 5, but it was 10 years ago. I was about 21 at the time. And there's been one thing that's been continuing to stand out to me as I've been traveling down this spiritual path. As I've been opening my mind to the writings and teachings of Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore, diving deeper into the science of mind and Ernest Holmes, looking deeper in the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and embracing the Buddhist wisdom. The one thing that's been continuing to stand out to me as I've been traveling down this spiritual path is the recognition of how incredible this life that you and I are living truly is. I mean, just think about it for a moment. Right now, as we are sitting in this sanctuary, in this infinite universe that we are all a part of, there are minerals and gases and elements combining and intertwining in such a divine and unique way that stars and planets are being formed. As we are resting in this sacred space, there are stars that are clustering together in such a unique and harmonious way that new galaxies are being birthed. And as we look at our solar system, our harmonious and divine planet that is spinning and orbiting in such a divine and harmonious way, illuminated by a vibrant sun that is shining down so peacefully, yet powerfully upon it. In this very moment, there are trees that are reaching towards the light and seeds that are slowly awakening to their own inherent greatness as they have been resting in soil that has been accumulating nutrients since the beginning of time. Animals scurrying across the planet and dwelling beneath the depths, and then there was you and I. You see, there was not only this incredible, divine, harmonious universe out here, but there was also an infinite universe in here. Our hearts that are beating, our lungs that are breathing, our blood that is flowing, our cells that are dividing, our atoms that are thriving. The one thing that's been continuing to stand out to me as I've been traveling down this spiritual path is the recognition from the furthest planet to the closest atom. There is one constant, and that is God is everywhere present. Divine order is flowing through it all. Now, when I share this message, some people don't like the word God, and that's quite all right. I myself have yet to find a word that can encompass the all-encompassing, so please feel free to substitute it with spirit or energy or essence or divinity or infinite intelligence. You see, what you call it matters not, for it is the very essence that enables you to speak a word out into the ether. It simply is. Each and every one of us are filled with this infinite essence as we are moving throughout our experience. Innumerable connections we have to others, innumerable connections we have to this earth. I mean, just think about it for a moment. Right now, we are standing on top of the shoulders of our ancient ancestors, 10,000 generations reverberating through our souls. As we open our mind, we realize that we are here because of those who we have never met, whose lives have been absolutely essential in the development of who we are. The divine order that has been flowing since the beginning of time up to this present moment of now. Innumerable connections we have with the people we're sitting in this room with and those who we may have met. Some people may have brought happiness and joy into our lives, and other people may have brought a little negativity or frustration or anger. But through the good and through the bad, there was one constant, and that is divine order is ever present. You see, as we are moving throughout this experience of life, using our inner essence and energy, we are squeezing the infinite into the finite limitations of our individual imaginations. So with all of this being said, it's my hope today, during this time that we shared together, this moment that will never come again, this moment that is filled with the light, essence, life, glorious presence. It is my hope during this experience that I'm able to remind you who you truly are. A gift, a light, essential. You matter. So who am I? I get asked that question a lot. I have the opportunity to travel across the nation and share this message at spiritual communities, in colleges, and businesses, and people ask me all the time, Jeffon, who are you? And I typically say my spiel. My name's Jeffon. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. And everybody's, the response after that is, I'm glad you asked. Growing up, yes, I was, but I no longer am. However, I still have family members who practice the Mormon religion, and I've learned in my experience that it is not my responsibility to approach another person and tell them what spiritual path they must follow, because when I look deep enough, I recognize that all paths ultimately lead the same way, for we are all awakened by the same essence and energy. So yes, I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. My mother was adopted from Scotland. My father is African American, and I was sitting in a meditation a while back, and I was thinking about my grandparents on my mom's side who happened to adopt my mom in Scotland. Just thinking about my grandparents who were on a building mission over there in the England area. And my grandmother, unable to have children, something must have led them into this particular orphanage. And they walk over there and they see this young girl, this young baby. And they go over there and something must have drew them to her. They grab her and they bring her back here to the States. And they did so legally. They didn't just snatch and run. They brought her back here to the States with the hopes in doing so, if this little girl happened to get bigger, she would have more opportunities. And if this young girl happened to grow up and have children of her own, so too would they have fertile soil which their lives could blossom and unfold. Now on the opposite spectrum, my dad's side, my grandparents were raised in the South. My grandpa was born in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And the stories from my mom's side to my dad's side are literally night and day. My grandfather would tell me when he was 8 years old, walking home from school because people didn't agree with the color of his skin, being shot at by people who didn't think that he should be walking in that area. My grandmother on my dad's side was born in Jackson, Mississippi. In the heat of racial tension, they eventually uprooted and came to the West Coast and then later to Salt Lake. I don't know why they chose it, but they did. Where my parents met. And I made my entrance into this earth in Salt Lake City. And after I was born, my parents went their separate ways, leaving my mom to raise me and my two little sisters by herself. But even though my father wasn't around during these early times, I still call it a blessing in disguise because I was able to spend a lot of time with my grandparents on my mom's side. And as my sisters and I went through youth and into adolescence, we started spending more and more time with our grandparents as we started witnessing our hero, my mother, failed to recognize the glorious light that was shining within herself and became victim to drugs and addiction and depression. And even going through these situations, looking back now, I call it a blessing in disguise. You see, my grandparents built their house in a nice area of Salt Lake City. So even though my mom and my parents were struggling, I was able to be around abundance and see what it was like. Even though we didn't have much of it, I was able to look out into the community and see it. But it didn't take long until I looked out into my community and recognized that things really didn't match up. You see, every single household in that area had both. My dad wasn't around. My mom was scraping along what people would call rock bottom. And on top of that, my sister and I were two of the only kids who had a slight different tint of skin. Negative words, discrimination, people not knowing what they're saying, choosing to embrace these divisions and separations within their mind and not realizing that they are casting them upon a young boy. And as growing up, embodying them, embracing them, and actually believing that's who I was. See, but there are a few people who took time to believe in me. There were a few people who were willing to look deeper than the masks that I was wearing and connect with the light that was shining within my essence, within my being. My fourth grade teacher who took time out of her day to pay for me to play sports because my family couldn't afford it. My sophomore English teacher taking time out of his day when everything around me was seeming to crumble apart, opened my mind to the writings of Langston Hughes and told me not to give up when everything was seeming to crumble apart. Eventually made my way through high school and decided that it was time to leave Salt Lake City and go to Seattle to embark in my college experience. And it was one of the hardest things I had to do because my mom at that time was entering into a rehabilitation center. My two little sisters were there in Salt Lake with nobody to really uphold them and empower them. My grandmother had just passed away, and my grandpa was reaching an age that we all hoped to reach. I went up there to Seattle with the hopes to better myself, to prove the people who were doubting me, to prove them wrong, and to honor the light and the gifts that were in here. When I was in Seattle, my dad had one of those spiritual friends, and I do this because I think I am a spiritual friend to some of those. But he would always tell me things like, you know, Jeffon, divine order is everywhere present. Regardless what you're going through, God got this. Don't worry, don't doubt. Being that I came out of a seeming chaotic situation, I remember pointing at all the reasons why I believed that divine order was not possible. And I thought I made a pretty good case, pointing at my mom who's in the rehab center, my grandma who passed away, my sisters who are still struggling. And then he handed me a book. And you guys may have heard of this book. It's called A Course in Miracles. And I will never forget the first lines that I read. In fact, I want to get a shirt that says this, so before I tell you, don't take my ideas, okay? The first lines that I read said, the real cannot be threatened, nothing unreal exists, herein lies the peace of God. And it was at that moment that a small door seemed to open within my conscious mind, and I began to look back at my experience and thought, maybe there was a reason for the way that my life unfolded. Maybe there was a reason for going through these ups and downs in my experience. And now as I look back, my mom is clean and sober and has been for almost a decade. My two little sisters are both amazing, beautiful, confident young women. My dad is blossoming in his own unique way. I'm able to travel around and meet incredible people such as yourself. And what I've recognized was through the good and through the bad, there was one constant. That is, God has been ever present and divine order has been flowing through it all. And I share this with you, not so you can go and write my biography, but more importantly to encourage you to look back at your experience. The abundant mountain peaks of happiness, of light, of abundance, and the low dark valleys of frustration, stress, and despair. And recognize the one constant, the one essence, the one energy that has always been there. There was a beautiful quote by Epictetus. He's a Stoic philosopher. If I said it wrong, you can correct me after. But he says, men and women are most disturbed not by what happens, but by their opinion of what happens. You see, it may not always be easy, but we can always look deeper within ourselves and connect with the infinite, the divinity, the essence that has been with us before we took our first breath and will be with us after we take our last. That essence and energy that is enabling our heart to beat in this very moment, that is enabling ourselves to divide as we sit in these sacred seats. Realizing that we are standing upon the shoulders of our ancestors, and as we move forth moment by moment by moment, we are not only impacting ourselves, but we are impacting the entire world and beyond. You see, and as we start to open our mind to this, we start realizing that there have been people and situations that have popped up at just the right time. As we open our minds to this, we see that we have innumerable things to be grateful for. Innumerable blessings that have been filling our experience. It takes a little practice. You must be willing to shift your mind and recognize that you can direct and control your thoughts, whether you're leaning towards the darkness or leaning towards the light, seeing those difficulties as curses or seeing them as hidden blessings. As you start to do this, you realize that you have an opportunity in this day, right now, in this moment, to be a light, not only for yourself, but for others. When I share this with people, they often say, you know, Jeffon, that sounds great, but how do we do this? And I tell them that we are able to embrace the energy, the essence, the God presence that is dwelling within, and use that in a way where we are directing our thoughts and our choices and our actions. 3 keys that each and every one of us in this room has. Our thoughts and our choices and our actions are those things that we use to assist in assembling the co-creation of our experience. You see, suddenly we start realizing that we can use that energy that may have been stress or frustration or anger in a conscious and intentional way and create happiness or joy or abundance or peace. It's not going to come from out here and jump within you when you're this changed person, but as you begin to shift your inner world, the outer world begins to reflect that change. So it comes down to this. From this moment going forward, how are you going to use your energy? How are you going to live your life? How are you going to choose to show up in this day, in this week, in this month, and in this year? See, life will throw things at you. It's just life, good and bad. There's a beautiful quote by one of my favorite motivational speakers, Jim Rohn, where he says, "It is the set of the sails and not the direction of the wind that determines which way we will go." So when life throws things at you that may seem difficult, you have the ability to adjust your sails. And your sails aren't your C-E-L-L-S, but your S-A-I-L-S, and those are your thoughts. If you see things as blessings, even if they seem difficult, even if they take you into difficult places, you have the opportunity to allow your thoughts to see them as stepping stones that can elevate you into your highest and best. And as your thoughts start to change, then your choices reflect that change, and you can create doorways of opportunities where there may have only been walls of hardship. So the tree that you are today, the being that you are in this moment, it matters not how big you may be, how much fruit may be hanging from your branches. Where you are in this moment is an accumulation of yesterday, of last week, of last month, of last year, of the past decade. But in this very moment of now, you have the opportunity to begin to embrace your essence, to apply the spiritual principles that are shared here, and move forth into your highest and best, realizing that you are the one that you have been waiting for. What you are seeking is that which is seeking you. That which we are looking for is that which we are looking with. As we begin to embrace this, we see that we have the tools within us. We have been born with it. So I would just like to ask a very quick question. If in the last day or week or month or year or decade, if there's been something within you that's been asking you to step forth, to share your gifts, to honor your unique abilities in this world, just simply raise your hand for a moment. Look around the room. It's pretty much all. You can put your arms down. Don't want you to get sore there. All of us. There is something that is reaching out to us and encouraging us to step into our highest and best. Something that is within us that is encouraging us to honor the unique abilities that we have to bring into the world. So my friends, I encourage you just to try to grasp one golden nugget. Realize that you have this inner essence within you. It is breathing your breath. It woke you up this morning. It's flowing within each person in here, each person who you pass on the street, whether if they are rich or whether if they are sitting on the sidewalk. It is that which is enabling the earth to spin and the sun to shine. It is all divine. Embracing this inner essence and moving into the ability to direct and control our thoughts, choosing new choices, and committing new actions. Nobody can do these 3 things for you. It is something that you must do for yourself. And as you start embracing this, you then can stand upon one of my favorite quotes, which is from Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, where he says, "O divine providence, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use out of the riches you gave me at birth, consisting in my ability to direct and control my mind to whatever ends I desire. You are it. And I appreciate you being willing to be here today and share a little bit of your energy and your light with each of us. And I hope that you've been able to receive at least one small little nugget that you can take and apply to your life or share with another person. And in conclusion, I would love to speak with you after, if you are around. And I put together a beautiful book of poetry, which is some stories of empowerment and the key that unlocks the greatest you. I just came off a 2-month speaking tour where I've traveled around the West Coast and had the opportunity to speak all over the place. Spiritual communities, Native American reservations, high schools and colleges, businesses. And later today, I'm doing a workshop. If you're so inclined, I would like to invite you to attend. It is on a love offering basis. And regardless if you do all of these or none of these things, the essence and the light that is within me honors and respects your glorious essence. So just thank you for being here today. Peace, blessings, and so it is. So now let us center ourselves as we move forth into a meditation. Feel the seat beneath you. Take time to recognize the breath that is flowing within you. Your sacred heart that is beating inside of you. Center yourself in this moment. Any thoughts that are flowing through your mind, just let them flow like the clouds do on a warm summer day. You need not attach to them. Instead, center yourself deep within your being. Open your conscious mind to the awareness of this day, realizing that this day is a gift. This day is filled with infinite possibilities, opportunities for you to begin to bring your gifts and your highest and best out into the world. Breathe deep, realizing that each breath you breathe is feeding your sacred body temple. Realizing that you have the ability to direct and control your thoughts towards that which you know you are here to be. Feel love and peace flowing from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head as you rest in the stillness of your being. And as you are in this centered state, know this with me. There is one power, one presence, one glorious essence that is flowing through all things. It is that which is enabling the planets to rest in space. It is that which is enabling our sacred earth to spin. It is that which is everywhere present and has awakened those great individuals who we recognize throughout history. Embracing this one essence, let us open our conscious mind to the recognition that we are one with this power. For it is the essence of life that enabled us to wake up this morning, that enabled us to walk into this sanctuary and will be with us as we continue throughout this day. As we honor this one power and recognize our unification with it, may we realize that we are divinely guided to step into our highest and best, to share our light with others, to be willing to be the peacemaker on our planet. May we realize that divine order is with us, not just in this moment, but for each and every moment, opportunity, interaction. May we realize that the people that we sit next to, the people that we walk past, and the people that we work alongside are reflections of this one essence and this power. May we take it a step further and break down the imaginary borders and walls of separation that may make us believe that we are different from another man or woman, and embrace the understanding that even though they may have a different shade or they may speak a different language, we are one kind, empowered by the one mind, illuminating expressions of the divine. As we rest in this knowing, realizing who we are, realizing the power of now, may we express gratitude flowing through each cell in our body, each beat of our heart, each breath that we breathe. May we share this gratitude with others. As we do this, my friend, let us release this out into the large universe, knowing that that which we believe intensely blossoms into our life immediately. We stand upon the truth from now until forever. Together may we say, and so it is.
As we come back together with real appreciation for the reminder, something I think we can't hear too often, that no matter who we are, where we are, what we've done or not done, each one of us is a light. Each one of us has something so important to share. So Jeffon, I just want to thank you for kind of reminding us of that again. For those of you who were not here during the first Sunday forum, I told the story of how Jeffon literally came to the front door. I want to reassure you, I don't usually get my speakers from the front door. But there was something so special about Jeffon, about his light. And I'm so glad that I trusted my inner knowing and brought you here today. Thank you, Jeffon. So, feeling renewed, reminded of our light, let us remind ourselves of our vision, our mission, our values here at Unity Spiritual Center, because they are inspiring and compelling. These are the things by which we strive to live. So I invite you to please join with me in saying them aloud. Our vision is centered in God. We co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling inspired by what we've heard today, feeling inspired by our vision, our mission, our values, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community. We are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected today to Habitat for Humanity and to Unity World Headquarters. So let us take a moment now to bless our offerings, holding them in our hands, perhaps placing them next to our hearts as we say our offertory prayer together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. I toast to my own reunion when I become one with the sun. And I serenade Venus, serenade Mars, and I burn with the fire of 10 million stars. And in time, we will all be stars. I sing the body electric. I glow in the glow of creating my own tomorrow when I shall embody the and I celebrate Venus, I celebrate Mars, and I burn with the fire of 10 million stars. And in time, we will all be stars. Emperors now, and we are the stars. And in time, we will all be stars. Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Michael. All of those who are giving service today.
light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the presence of God in you, empowering you to do great things. That was meant to be.